So I'm about to go off on my annual time of vacation. I tend to take a chunk of time off every July, and this July is no different. And so as a result, there are a few weeks that you won't be hearing from me in the coming weeks, just as a heads up. But as I come to this time off in July, I realize that this really comes to the end of what is ultimately my first year as your bishop here in Pittsburgh. And I wanted to make a couple of reflections on that. One of the questions that is often asked of me when I go places is, what has been surprising about being in Pittsburgh? And my answer almost always is that what is surprising is that it's only 15 miles and it will take me 45 minutes to drive that. Doesn't make sense to me, but it's just that is just surprising. It is one of the charming things about southwestern Pennsylvania that one must ultimately get used to. The other thing that is sort of, it's not so much surprising, but something for which I am grateful is the incredibly warm welcome that both Tamara and I have received as we have done parish visits over the last year. It's been so gratifying to just go and meet the people of the diocese, to be welcomed in your churches, have the opportunity to preach and to confirm, and almost always to enjoy a ton of food everywhere we go. I'm really, really thankful for that warm hospitality that we have received. So grateful for that reality. The other thing that I'm really profoundly grateful for is the faithful service of the clergy of our diocese. One of the things that our clergy, your clergy and our clergy as a whole, are faithfully doing is pastoring the people of God where they are. I parachute in on a given Sunday into a congregation that exists, and it exists there because somebody is taking the time and effort, the care and love and devotion to pastor the people of God in that place, to teach, to preach, to encourage, to lift up in times of difficulty and challenge, and to also reach out beyond the parish with the mission of the gospel more broadly. So I'm really, really thankful. I go places because there are faithful pastors who are already there, and I am very, very grateful. So if you think about it, you might want to thank your pastor while you're at it. Something I wanted to think about even as I reflect on the past year, I want to think about what I'm looking forward to, what I'm anticipating going forward. And I'm really anticipating, in a very hopeful sense, the work of God among us as we move forward. When we moved to Vermont, now about 20-some years ago, we moved into this house that had this little tiny bush out front. I think it was what they call a flaming bush, or it's named after Moses in some way because it turns bright red in the fall. And it was kind of tiny, it was kind of scraggly, and I paid a little bit of attention to it, and largely and we were there for 18 years. We were there for 18 years in Vermont. And I remember at one point that I looked and I realized, wow, that bush has become really big, really robust, and really healthy. And it's not that it just happened, because I did from time to time pay some attention to it, but not a lot because I'm not a great gardener. And that bush grew and became healthy and was really at the sort of the center of kind of the front of our house towards the sidewalk. And that is a picture for me of the action, the growth of God that comes among us. We do need to pay some attention to our congregations, to our own personal lives, to our own life with God. But as Paul says, Paul plants, Apollos waters, and God gives the growth. There is this movement of God that brings growth. And again, I didn't sort of pay attention and measure it every year, but after 18 years, I looked back and said, wow, look at that. And I am just anticipating and looking forward with great joy to see what it is that God will continue to do among us here in Pittsburgh. I'm asking the Lord for every blessing for you as you spend your summer. Grace and peace to you.